To the cloud. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Fantasy Files. I'm your host, James. Unfortunately, Stephen Keeler couldn't be here tonight. He is in Manhattan hearing the verdict for the P. Diddy case. So I am here hosting for you guys tonight. Um, we came up with a fucking really cool topic thanks to Count Ralphus and Ovi. Um, it's about to be 4th of July over here in the United States of America. So Count Ralphus said, hey, how about we talk about our top 5 favorite American bands? And then Ovi was like, yeah, let's do that. And then we'll say like what our album is that got us into those bands and then our favorite album from those bands. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We got Count Ralphus here. We got Tony Dio here. We got Ed Farshty here. We got Ovi from Norway. And we got my boy Christian from fucking Connecticut in the house.
Mm-hmm. Return number 9.
What was that?
It's his glorious return number 9.
Glorious return number
Glorious
9.
return number 9.
Very glorious return.
Yeah.
So I am going to start things off with Count Ralphus because it was his idea to do this topic tonight.
All right. So when you first start thinking about it, it's like, oh shit. We only had a few hours to think about a topic, and we came up with the topic, and then say, okay, everybody agreed. And so then it's like you don't really have much time to think about like it. So if you really sit there forever, you'll go, oh, this band, I should have put this band. I figure maybe the others will put some of the bands that I forget or missed or whatever. But I thought of an easier way of doing it would be, I'll do like one death metal band, one thrash band, one traditional heavy metal band, one punk band, and one hardcore band. But I should have did like a hard rock band. So I have some honorables like as far as that goes. But so yeah, for my punk band, I'm going with the Misfits, from Lodi, New Jersey, and man, they're just like the perfect band for me. I'm a horror fanatic my whole life, and since I was a little kid, and when I found them, I was already into thrash and stuff, and the Metallica wearing their shirts and stuff. I was like, who the fuck is this band? And it's funny because my very first album I ever got by them was this E5 12-inch. I should have pulled it out because it's different than the regular Evil Live album. And I played it on the wrong speed for a month. Me and Tony just did a whole episode on the Misfits a couple weeks ago on Almost Human Live. But I tell the story and I played the album on the wrong speed for like a month. And because the Misfits were so fast and crazy, when I was listening to it on the wrong speed, on the slow speed, it was like it was still kind of fast, it wasn't like really slow, the vocals sounded crazy, but I just thought, oh, this is some kind of fucking hellish fucking evil shit, and I tried to listen to it, and by the end of the month I was kind of getting into it. And then one of my friends came over one day and was like, yo, that doesn't sound like it's on the wrong speed. And he just clicked the fucking thing on the turntable, and all of a sudden it fucking made sense, and it was fucking
Eureka.
Yeah, and it was just like, then I'm reading the song titles, and then I start getting the albums that have the lyrics and stuff like that, and a great lyricist, and just perfect band for me, horror and heavy music. Love the Misfits. But I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
I killed my baby today. Instead of like,
shit.
I killed my baby today.
Oh, yeah. When we did our episode, the guy Ralph who runs Almost Human, he got a mixtape, and he didn't know his friend didn't give him song titles none. So he would hear 138. He said he played the tape all the time. And for years he thought he said I'm a 38, or
We are
we are a
dirty
130.
eights.
Yeah, we are 38. He thought that's what it said for fucking years, and he loved it. And then he finally got an album by him, and he was like, "Wait, what? Wait, 138? What the fuck is that?" But, yeah. So I mean, I was thinking about like the Dead Kennedys and Black Flag. I'm wearing a Black Flag shirt. Fucking Ramones, Cramps. You go on and on and on with all the great punk bands, but Misfits are my all time favorite band. Is the Misfits. Was that Obi?
No, so punks, fuck off. I said,
Yeah, Dead Kennedys, man. They're fucking great band. So then my second, I'm gonna go with like a hardcore, but I didn't go straight hardcore. I kind of did at first, but then I changed it to more of a crossover thing, and it's Carnivore. They only had 2 albums out, but man, from Brooklyn, New York, one of the best 2 album band of all time. And I've just worshiped both albums. I've talked about those albums every chance I get as being 2 of my favorite albums. And but yeah, I was thinking Sheer Terror, New York hardcore band, and Crumbsuckers, Agnostic Front, SOD really would have been the band right there with it. Because when I found that kind of is the album that, Speaking or Should Die, was the album that turned me on to hardcore and made me start listening to everything. But Carnivore was the band that it just perfected it on Retaliation. I got into the first album first, but then the second album, I always think it's got a better sound, and I love the lyrics, a little smarter kind of lyrics and stuff. One of my favorite bands of all time. So yeah, now death metal. Death metal was fucking super hard, because I love death metal, and there's so many fucking great American death metal bands. I have to go with Death. Scream Bloody Gore was the album that got me into them, and to me, it defined a new era of music. Yeah, you could say Possessed, Necrophagia, and other bands had like death metal kind of sound. So, Hellhammer, Celtic Frost. But to me, it all changes with Scream Bloody Gore. It draws the line there, and it's a super important album, and it's my favorite album by them. But I was thinking of Autopsy, and because they're the most consistent band. Morbid Angel, those first few albums are fucking godly. Macabre, who could be considered thrash or death metal, one of my all-time favorite bands. Cannibal Corpse from America. Come on, so many great death metal bands, but I'm going to go with Death. All right, for thrash, I didn't go as crazy writing down other bands, but like Slayer, Hell Awaits, my favorite album by them. I got a little tattoo of the demon ripping the corpse apart up there, a couple demons, and just my first albums I got by them. I got Haunted in the Chapel and Show No Mercy on the same day. Some kid who I didn't even know was a metalhead somehow got these albums, and his parents seen them and said, "Get them the fuck out of here." He came like 4 houses down and just gave them to me. Said, "Oh, that guy who wears the heavy metal shirts will like this." And it was Show No Mercy and Haunted in the Chapel. Haunted in the Chapel is my favorite EP of all time. And Hell Awaits is up there with one of the greatest albums of all time. But yeah, Possessed, Overkill, fucking Whiplash. There's so many great bands to see, so many great American thrash bands, but that's who I had to go with Slayer. And then for heavy metal, it was kind of actually hard for like just traditional heavy metal for me to think of like who to pick. And it like right away I thought Dio. And I was like, Tony Dio is gonna pick Dio. And then, or maybe not, but he probably wants to talk about 20,000 other bands that I don't know about. But Manowar is the one I went with. I remember going to a football practice, and we were already into thrash really good by the time I got into Manowar. And we were going to a football game. We were on the football team, and one of the guys said, "Hey, put this on the tape." We listened to a boombox on the way to a game, and he put on fucking "Hail to England," and we were like, Manowar. Oh, we think of the album covers with the fucking loincloths and stupid shit, and man, we were blown away by fucking Hail to England. And this kid like knew all the words to it. So he was singing the words and was like, wow, yeah, this is great. We're going into battle on another football team. It was fucking awesome. Battle ended up being my favorite album by them, or I think so, but I didn't really, I'd have to really sit there and listen to the whole discography, but I think that might be my favorite album. But Hail to England was the one that got me into them. And then, all right, so that's 5. All right. Yep. And then honorable mentions later.
There you go. Wait. So, welcome back, Stephen Keeler.
Woohoo!
I hope
Figured
you
I'd pop
had a
in
good
for a few
time.
minutes.
I hope you had a good time watching the end of the Diddy trials in New York City.
I didn't even know that was going on.
He said that's why you weren't here.
Oh, man. Sure. I'm right up on all the latest gossip and news. I watch CNN all day and Fox and whatever else, MSNBC. That's all I watch is news.
That's fake news.
I
It's
was
fake
out doing
news. I don't
yard
watch
work
it.
all day and preparing for a barbecue at my house, and doing a million things. And then like I had the KISS thing set up for the night and then was mentioned and got one of the guys from Cycle Circus couldn't make it, and Will Carroll said he would like to join. So gonna do that Monday night. It might conflict a little bit with Pete's, but
Cool.
I do. And then next week on Wednesday night, we got a double header. Live wire ACDC. Or is it no high voltage rather with an ICDC guys live wire gonna come on, and Pink Floyd Wish You Were Here will be at 8 and that'll be at 9 o'clock.
Nice.
I've
Sweet.
got some. I
Yeah,
gotta have
that's
guys
cool.
beat the Pink Floyd tribute with me. So set that up today while I wasn't watching P Diddy. I think you were watching that game. You were
No, I
all-
saw you on TV. You were down there
Oh, yeah.
cheering on.
Yo, Steve, did you by any chance see, what's her name? Sydney, she's in Pompeii right
Who?
now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sydney.
Sydney's with Dream
Oh,
Theater in Pompeii. They're
Theater.
doing the
Wow,
live.
I
Dream
saw
Theater's
that
doing,
she was
yeah,
there. I
live at
didn't
Pompeii.
really pay attention to what was going on. It's been a long day. The TV's breaking. Anything that could go wrong went wrong today, and I got a lot done though. So,
Yeah.
what do you guys?
Right.
You guys are just talking your favorite American bands. I mean,
Top 5 favorite American bands
mhm.
and the album that got you into them and
Okay.
your favorite album from them.
I could do it, but I didn't really think deeply into this enough to like how Ralph did all these different categories, because there's a million categories.
Yeah.
That's
You got-
okay.
You got metal, you got. So
That's okay.
I kind of went on the classics. I can
Okay.
give you if you want.
Do
If
it.
you want me to
You want to do
Yeah,
them
yeah.
now? Go for it.
Yeah, because I probably can't hang out because I got a bunch of stuff to do still.
Go for it, Steve.
I'm going with the classics. I think that if we went into the metal, there's a ton of metal too. Of course, like I mean, there's a ton of great death metal. There's a ton of great, Pantera. You got all these different bands, but I'm gonna go. I don't know if any of these are in any necessary order, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I'm gonna start out with one of the earliest bands, The Doors. And the album I will go on would be I mean, I love all their albums, but I guess if you're gonna stick a gun to my head today, LA Woman would be the album I would probably pick.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
That was one of my honorable mentions. So now that
Okay.
he's them, now
and
that's
then,
all.
I guess on my list, I mean, I just threw this together. I just hopped out of the shower. So let me join you guys. I was supposed to go watch fireworks, but I'm not doing it. I can hear them outside. I'm gonna go with another California band, Van Halen.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of their later material, but I absolutely adore the first album. I think it's one of the best albums ever made.
Agreed.
So I'm gonna go with the first LP. And I'm gonna go with another band from Boston. And this band is not Boston, even though they'd be on my list, but it's Aerosmith. And I do not
Nice.
really like Aerosmith past 1980, 81, maybe.
That
And my
early
Fair
stuff.
enough.
is gonna go with is Rocks. Absolutely listen to this. I had that little boom box thing you carried around. It looked like a square that had
Oh,
a
yeah.
track stuck in the side. And one of the years of high school, I just walked around with Rocks, walking around with that little, it looked like a TNT detonator, you know?
Got mine. Yep.
And how do we talk about American bands without talking about Leonard Skinner?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
didn't really pick out an album by them because I didn't know that was my homework assignment, but I guess Give Me Back My Bullets could be one of my favorites by them.
That's my favorite.
And how do we go talking about American rock bands without mentioning Kiss?
Yep.
And I'm gonna pick my favorite album from them is probably Detroit Rock City. I grew up with that record.
That's not an album. That's not an album. That's
Right,
not an album.
Destroyer.
There's no album. There's
Destroyer,
no album
no,
called Detroit Rock
Destroyer.
City.
I'm not as into this as you guys today. I'm burnt out. Too much
Did
going
great,
on.
though, that-
But I'm
You
glad
picked
Too
all.
much
You picked
travel
all
in
my
New York City.
almost all my honorable mentions just got mentioned. So you did great. You know,
all right.
the name in the album that you like the best. You could think about that as your name in the band. You
Yeah.
go, okay, what
And
album?
then,
I like?
my last pick, I guess I cheated. I went with 6. Would be fucking Santana.
Nice.
Love early
Nice.
Santana. So I'm gonna go with a
Elvis Presley, I would figure with you because you're like in your young years when Elvis was still rocking.
I mean, I'm old, so oldest guy in the room.
Not that old. He's not Elvis old.
Yeah, he wasn't growing up with Elvis. Like
I
mean, he was
I
alive till
didn't
76.
grow up with Elvis, but I grew up with Santana. I mean, when I was a kid, the Beatles were huge. So yeah, I'm 64 years old. So if people didn't know, I shock people with that age. I'm like, you're 64? Oh my god! Some guy want my story. They're like, oh my god! I'm like, oh, make me feel better, will you?
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom's 86 and she grew up with Elvis.
Yeah.
So
Well, time
big
waits for
difference
no one.
there.
I can tell you that. And look at how fast this year is going. It's going to be 4th of July on Friday already. Then
That's
boom,
right.
here we go. Here we go.
That's
In a couple
right.
weeks, it's back to school, and you're not going to be able to get an ice chest in the fucking grocery store, and then it's going to be the Halloween shits out, and boom, before you know it, it's next year.
Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, I thank for you guys are carrying it on tonight. Sorry I couldn't be a giant part of it, but I got
Of course.
3 episodes lined up next week to keep you as busy if you can make it.
Nice.
Absolutely.
How's the firework situation in New York for 4th of July?
What's that?
How's the firework laws for 4th of July?
In the city of Middletown, fireworks are illegal in my city, but they're legal in New York State. I can hear them going off right now. It sounds like thunder going on outside, and my dog is petrified of them. I thought about riding up to the firework display in the park just to check it out. Plus, I'm promoting the Rock Fantasy 40th anniversary concert series at the fair. So I've got 1,000 postcards. I probably should have went up there and just walked around and handed some out because there's 1 million people there. But I've been doing that the last couple of days too. We're preparing for a party at my house, Chief Tawaka, which I do every year. And all you guys are invited that are in the panel. Of course, not everybody that's watching, but we can't put our
Send your private chat, I'll be there.
Everybody that's watching.
Obi won't probably make it. He's too far away. Obi, is that an ICP shirt on?
Yeah, whoop whoop.
Nice.
That's-
What?
I can't. I never pictured that with you.
I've liked
My
ICP since the, I would say probably 99 or 98. I
Obi, I
think.
didn't know Obi was a juggalo until tonight. This is brand new.
Wow.
But it's
Yeah,
carnival,
that's shocking.
Dark Carnival, it's clowns, it's something.
It's Fago.
Yeah.
Oof.
The Great Malenko. That's the one.
I've got
That's
I've got this clown puppet in my store called Bimbo, right? And everybody talks about clowns being evil. And today, like Rose goes to collect the coins from it because it's 1st of the month, and she's like, you got to do something with that thing. It just shocked the fucking hell out of me. I'm like, what do you mean it shocked you? She goes, I reached inside of it and it shocked me. I'm like, well, maybe Bimbo wants to be more like the rest of these evil clowns now. He's had enough. He's trying to kill my employees. Well, anyhow, yeah, keep going. I'm probably gonna hop off in a second though, but thanks for having me in. And thanks for hosting, James.
Of course. And thanks for being here after watching the final verdict of the P. Diddy case, Stephen.
Who
So,
won that
Obi,
game?
we are
Who won that game, James?
What's that?
Was that a game you're talking about? Who won? What was the
Yeah.
score? I don't know. I was just watching. I had the Mets and the Brewers on. That's all I was watching. That's why I was eating a snack before I came on.
P Diddy won by not getting the RICO charges, but he's getting
He
two other
certainly did
charges.
win.
He's gonna still do a little time for some of
There's
the
one
other
thing I
little
don't really
charges.
watch. Anything that has to do
I'm
with court.
served.
Yeah. Absurd as fucking hell.
Yep.
Ovi,
Yo,
you are partially responsible for tonight's category or
by any
topic.
responsibility, I'm innocent.
So, what do you got to say about your top 5 favorite American bands and the albums
Oh.
that got you into them and the albums that you love the most from them?
I'm going to start with number 5. I'm going to go down to the deep south, to the swamps, and I believe James know where I'm heading because time heals nothing. Crowbar is the band. My first introduction to them was Equilibrium. Do you have that CD around, James?
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, so-
I saw that at the store as a young kid, and like the kind of the demon thing with Kirk, like having Two-Face and stuff, and it's like, so what kind of music is this? And they said like heavy. Oh hell yeah, give it to me. So that was my introduction. It was like really cool because there's a cover of Dreamweaver, and it's like it's like the drummer I think is kind of a satanic dude. So I was, of course, anything with Satan was good when you were in your youth. So that was a sure buy. But the album over the years that has become my favorite is Time Heals and Nothing.
Great album.
It got released for first time on vinyl. Was it in 2020? It was like in 300
Yeah.
copies. It's
Yep.
still in the wrap, so I guess I can get a pretty dollar. But
Yeah.
it's just the album it's because it's the first album that got kind of just released, which is Through the Suffering, which is really good. And then you of course have their second album, which many think is the first album with their
Self-titled.
their hit song on it, and which is really kind of different from everything else they do. And then you got Broken Glass. I no, maybe you got this one
That's
number
before
2.
Broken Glass.
Yeah, this is
Yep.
one they like. I feel they found their sound and kind of really did like cement the sludge that they are today. And by my eyes, they have just gotten better at their craft. But this is just like this is the birth of the sound that they are known for. So that's why it's my favorite. I think it's like no more. We Can Crawl, The Only Factor, Through the Wall of Tears, Lack of Tolerance, Embracing Emptiness. I mean, it's not a happy album.
All killer.
Yeah. Number 4, I'm gonna go with a band that maybe Keeler knows a lot better than me. And I think I heard this song, or you're probably gonna understand which band I'm talking about, but I heard The Passenger on like a music video back in the 90s, and it's like I have like a thing. If I discover an artist I like, I need to start from the beginning and do it chronological. Whatever band it is, I have to do it in the way it was released to kind of get the right feeling of the band. I didn't start out like that when I was younger, but over the years, I feel like if you start where they started and kind of follow their path, you get a closer understanding to their music, how they evolved, why they don't do the same album twice, and so forth.
Sure.
So the first song I heard by them was "I Want to Be Your Dog," and it's the Stooges
Ah,
from 1969.
nice.
Yeah, this is the shit. I really like the Stooges. I mean, I can't imagine how it felt when it came out in '69 because it's not like anything else at the time.
It was like metal.
Then I came into possession of their second album, which is my favorite, which is Funhouse. With Down on the Street, Loose, TVI, and Dirt, which if you listen to Metallica or Jason Newsted, the bass solo in the early 90s, he would cover the intro to Dirt on bass.
Right.
And this album was like, they had big problems getting it through because they didn't get the sound they like it, so they just tore down the whole studio, every sound protection, everything, just played it live, and it's like it's so raw and it's like so proto punk. It's like I don't think you have a heavier album in 1970 in this one when it comes to sound and like what they are talking about, because if you read between the lines, there's not much left to the imagination. And I mean, like Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop. It's not quite stuck into me because when you see Iggy Pop in the 90s, can you see a more scary guy? Iggy looks fucking scary. He looks like a
Yeah,
walking
true.
skeleton. He is like, if the devil was human, I believe it would be Iggy because he's like,
He's
he does-
playing in Brooklyn in September. So you're talking about how he looked in the 90s. Now he looks just
looks
as
like he
crazy.
is
No
90.
shirt, no shirt. Yeah.
I
And he's
saw
playing
him
this
last
he's in
summer,
September.
and he doesn't do the bridge as good anymore, but he tries. And I think he's close to 80, isn't he? Born in 46, 47. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
probably.
Yeah, he's gotta be up there.
Funhouse is
Yeah.
such a great album. If anyone hasn't heard it, just buy it because it's what, if it hasn't been for this album, there will be no punk, there will be no of that scene. I believe. I'm not saying I'm right, but I believe so. As for
No,
number
definitely one of them.
for number 3, I'm going to go with I guess you can call it new metal. I guess James has to help me out if if it is or not. And I got this CD back at the local record store back in 2001. It was released to the British fans, and it's a live recording that's unedited. It's just straight from the tape, no overdubs or anything. It's just so raw, and it's My Ruin with Love and Bruises to Britain. To Britain with Love and Bruises. It's Terrell B and Mick Murphy, and they got 2 other girls that play bass and drums here, and it's just she used to be a rapper with ECE back in the 80s. She was probably one of the only white girls that was like, because she hung with ECE and the whole NWA gang, and like she wrote songs with ECE and stuff, but then she suddenly changed to Manhole first, and then it was My Ruin, and she growls like, yeah, it's like, is this a human being? But the album that's really what I like the most is the Prayer Under Pressure of the Violent Anguish, which is their second album.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I got it signed by both. I'm friends with both. I got it signed by both. I also
Yeah, I'm a
got,
new metal fan, but I'm not incredibly familiar with them, so I got to check them out.
yeah, I got the
I
promo
have a
signed
CD by
Kennedy.
My Ruin with a girl singing, but I have a CD by
That's
My
it's the
Ruin
same
that
band.
has a
Yeah,
girl singing, but it's not. I don't know if it's the same band as this.
it's the same band. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Probably
they
the
were
same
on
Yeah.
band. Yeah.
I never
was
thought
it
of it as like a new
Or-
metal thing.
the first album I think was on, wasn't they on Noise Records? I know Manhole was on Noise Records.
I think they were on Snapper, or there's kind of
Originally though, I think they were on Noise. I saw Manhole when that record was out. Yeah,
what year?
it's in the late '90s. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, first album came in '99. They was on really released on Record Day in England this year. That's my number 3. For my number 2, It's gonna be brutal death metal, and it's gonna be a hail to our all evil Lord John McEntee with Mortal Throne of Nazarene. It's my first album of them, and it's still my favorite. It's I know it's what brutal death metal is all about. I mean, there was nothing before, and there's nothing been anything after. That sounds like the album. So that's my first album and still my favorites. As
Awesome.
for number one, it's gonna be a guy that's probably James has a little mixed emotions to when he made him. He maybe have made him on a wrong day or something. It may be. I don't know, but the music, no matter, is great, and it's Euthanasia by Megadeth. You know, those black curtains. This is the
Great
blue
album.
original vinyl, and it goes for so much money on eBay. I guess if you
Yeah.
try to find black vinyl of this one not the South Korean version, but the US version, you got I don't know, it's probably $600-700. So if you got the black
Oh yeah.
original
Wow.
vinyl, you're
Nice.
into protection right there. I mean, I got this
Cool
album
piece.
like a woman hanging babies upside down. That God of evil. It's just have to be evil. And then you go turn it around, and you got Vic holding that baby. Like,
I always loved that picture of Vic.
yeah, and the album is so great. I mean, with Reckoning Day, the drums just starting, and it's Train of Consequences. I mean, such a cool lyrics. It's like you got the
Yeah.
train and Addicted to Chaos, and it's a Fields, Killing Road. Euthanasia is my favorite song by them ever. I saw
Yeah.
them. I saw Megadeth live. Was it on Saturday? It was like just a few days ago. It was their first show in since last year because they were doing another festival, but it was canceled but to bad weather, I guess. So we got the first show of the tour, and I mean, it was on fire. It was so loud. I mean, it was the loudest concert on the whole festival. I mean, it's just you got to breathe twice between the bass drums just kicking you in the chest, and that's such. I mean, for being that age they are, and they just deliver so well, and it was like
Yes, they
yeah,
do.
it's like hearing like Symphony of Destruction with like I don't know 135,000 people or whatever it was. It was like it was so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Family Tree is one of my favorites off that one.
Number 8. I also got it signed by the late drummer Nick Mensa. Rest in
Nice.
peace.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Dog.
I used to think I liked
Dog barking outside.
the album before that.
Won't reap.
It came in
next
95
door.
with Hidden Treasures.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Double CD with Hidden Treasures, which you got No More Is the Night Sky, Breakpoint, which I really love. I got to hear Anger Again. It's such. I feel Anger Again is so much better live than it's on the album because it's
Yeah.
yeah, and Problems, the Sex Pistols, because Mustaine loves the Sex Pistols. So
Oh yeah.
great. I also have the CD single of Train of Consequences. It's really cool because it's like people with no faces. I wonder if they watched X Files at the same time because this yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, this is a single. I bought it for $15.
Whew.
So of course I didn't buy it back in '94. I bought it later, but it's. I have some other singles too, but this got Crown of Worms on it. I love Crown of Worms.
Yeah, it's a great tune.
Yeah, and Millennium of the Blind. I mean, that song should have been on Euthanasia.
Agreed.
Yep. So that's my 5.
So
Passing
that's your 5.
over to Geo.
How about we
Iggy
go
Pop is
over-
78. I just wanted to mention that Iggy Pop is 78. I just looked
I
it up.
figured you had to be up there. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow.
Man.
I saw him back in
full
2000.
and full of energy.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy.
How about we go over to New York and talk to
Oh.
Ed Farshty?
Hey, hey,
Evil.
sure. This is a cool topic. To be quite honest, I was looking forward to getting some sleep tonight because I'm off work and I had a long day and I gotta get up really early tomorrow. But when I saw this topic, I'm like, this is cool. So yeah, just open ended. 5 bands. I'm gonna start with the heaviest band, going to the more mainstream band. Number 5, Deceased. Absolute favorite band. I've got into them with the first demo, Evil Side of Religion, then Birth by Radiation, The Nuclear Exorcist, and then all the albums. Got to be very good friends with them way back in the demos, back at this time, King Fowley and the rest of the band. Saw them live pretty much every time they play anywhere in the Northeast. Back then, I used to, me and a few friends, or a handful of friends, we'd vary, the different guys who come with me. But I'd travel basically anywhere from Buffalo to Pittsburgh and Boston, and just anywhere for a show. Any of my friends' bands like Deceased, Suffocate, Revenant, Ripping Corpse, Primeval, Immolation. They did a show anywhere, and back then bands used to play every week. I'd go to Jersey shows like 2-3 times a week sometimes. It was great. So Deceased, all of their albums from the first album, Luck of the Corpse, to the newest album are just phenomenal masterpieces. They range from brutal death metal to basically straight up heavy metal, thrash metal, speed metal. They could do it all. King Fowley's vocals have grown through the years. To pick a favorite album, every album, every song is fantastic in my mind. There's not a bad song in their entire career. But Fearless Undead Machines to me is a all-time top 10 album of anyone. It is an absolute perfect masterpiece. It's an epic story. It's basically Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead wrapped up in an absolutely fantastic album. If you haven't heard it, you must hear it. And Deceased is just amazing. Number 4 band, Dark Angel. Dark Angel. Yeah.
Weren't they the first band signed to Relapse Records?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yes, they were. And it was a little tumultuous with Relapse. Matt and they were good guys. They tried. But yeah, the first band signed. I actually tried to get them signed to Roadrunner. When I was working at Roadrunner, they put out the demos, and I was like, Monty, you got to get this band. He's like, I don't like them. But like, come on, Monty, you got to sign them. And then they got signed to Relapse. I played the album. He's like, I still don't like them. But I tried. But yeah, so number 4 band, Dark Angel. They are my all-time favorite thrash band. Have been since the We Have Arrived album. I picked up We Have Arrived. I saw that album come. I was like, oh my God. I got that. I just fell in love with the band. They are, like I said, my all-time favorite thrash band. I became, just like Deceased, really, really good friends with all the guys in the band. Jim Durkin, rest in peace. Great guy. And just, I used to, with my fanzine, I would sit and interview Gene Hoglan. We'd sit on the phone for like 3 hours. I do lengthy interview, like 2 pages. His answer would be like 2 pages long. It was unbelievable. So I just talked to him for hours and hours all the time. He used to work at his mom's hairdresser. It was like a salon hairdresser place. So I'd be calling him at work, and he'd just be sitting there doing people's hair, whatever, drying, and we'd be talking, doing an interview, and it's fucking great. Got to see them every single time they came anywhere near New York City back then. Again, I used to travel for shows, so I used to just get in a car and drive up to Boston. If they did a tour, I'd see like the first week of the tour, pretty much. Just go every single night, stay in hotels, drive back and forth, whatever. To pick a favorite album from them, I got to go with Darkness Ascends. It is my number 2 all-time favorite thrash album beyond after Bonded by Blood. Can't top Bonded by Blood for best thrash album. But Darkness Ascends is a perfect thrash album. I think if Leave Scars had the production that Darkness Ascends had, it might be better. Because Leave Scars is just an absolutely fantastic album as well. It just really suffered by the production because they pretty much produced it themselves, didn't know what the hell they were doing. But it's a great album, and I love everything they've done. Trying to get into the new stuff as well. They're a new band, new sounding band now. But I love them to death. Last time, now that they're touring again, doing shows, like I said, saw them.
I saw them on Friday.
What was that?
I saw them on Friday.
Oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Thank you for the video.
And I also say about Dark Angel, I mean, I think they are much better live than album, because on album you don't catch it's difficult to capture that aggressiveness they have live, because live they just rip through you like a chainsaw. I
Absolutely.
mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, when he sung the new song, the one that extension events live, and he sung it like he sung all other songs instead of how it's on the album, so it's kind of quite different.
Yeah, no, I was just about to get into the live stuff with Dark Angel because yeah, they are much better, man. I mean, I saw them, like I said, multiple times back in the day, and they were always phenomenal live. Sounded like shit, played way too fast. It was loud, it was noisy, but it was absolutely fantastic and just so intense. Since they got back together, they've kept the intensity, they've kept the brutality, but damn, they're so great live, man. They're so tight, so professional. They're perfect live band. Like I said, that's number 4. Number 3 is Twisted. Wait, I think I skipped one here. I did skip one. Overkill. Overkill are the most consistent thrash band, in my opinion, with only maybe 2 albums that kind of suck and another one that's mediocre. I got into them, Power and Black demo. They were one of the first bands I ever ordered a demo from in 1984. Probably late 84, I think it was. And so I got the demo, I got the T-shirt, I got wrote back and forth a couple times, got whatever merch they had, fell in love with the demo. First time I ever went to Lemoore to see a show, Overkill were headlining. So I've had a long history with Overkill. I love all the stuff they've done except for those other albums. The Years of Decay and Feel the Fire are definitely my 2 favorite albums. Feel the Fire is their first album, and it's always very close to my heart. I played it to death back in the day, so that'll always be very close to me. The Years of Decay is another just perfect thrash album. It's up there, top 10 thrash albums. It's maybe top 8 thrash albums. It's just perfect. Number 3 band, Twisted Sister. For just straight heavy metal, Twisted Sister rule in the U.S. as far as I'm concerned. Kiss are great, Van Halen's great. Twisted Sister is the shit for me. Living in New York, growing up in New York, I used to hear the Twisted Sister commercials for the live shows all the time. And I didn't know Twisted Sister then. I hadn't heard them yet. I was just intrigued by listening to the commercials. The radio station at the time, probably WPLJ was the rock station back then, back in the early 80s. I remember Carol Miller always promoted Twisted Sister. They had won a contest on the radio for a recording, and they recorded Shoot 'Em Down. And that was the first single that they did basically before the album, before Rough Cuts. And so they were playing on the radio. So that was my first introduction, and I loved it. And so then I picked up Rough Cuts, Under the Blade, Can't Stop Rock and Roll, Stay Hungry. It's just the band up till that point. Then after that, they sucked. But up till that point, they were fantastic. Never got to see them live back in the day. Like I said, I heard the commercials all the time, but I was too young. Never got to see it back in the day. They opened for somebody, I forget, somebody on like a major tour in like late 80s. I was wrecked out of my mind, so I don't even remember seeing the show, but I know they were there. And then when they reunited, I saw them every time. They started doing shows as Bent Brother because they couldn't officially announce Twisted Sister. So I went to see them at Atlantic City in Great Adventure. I saw them play live. I saw them at little clubs. Saw them out in Long Island, and they came back without the makeup, then they came back with makeup and kind of varied. Then they came back playing as Twisted Sister again. But I saw them multiple times back then. Saw them at the 9/11 benefit show. That was the first time we saw them back again, and just absolutely great, fucking fantastic band. Number 5 band.
Yo, really quick, I gotta interrupt. Is me and Tony just did Almost Human live on Thursday, and we did a whole Twisted Sister episode. And I talked about so many, like the Bent Brother and the 9/11. I pulled out the DVD. I'm on at the end of that 9/11 DVD show. I'm walking out, and John McEntee and his girlfriend, his wife at the time, were walking out right in front of us. But we're on that. You're probably on there too. If you look at the end of the DVD, they show everybody walking out at the end.
Oh,
and
wow,
if you're
cool.
watching the credits, so you got to just sit there and pause it and like try to find yourself.
Nice.
In there.
Yeah, I've watched the videos on like YouTube, whatever, but I don't think I've ever actually watched the DVD. I don't have the DVD, so I got to check that out. Cool.
Yeah.
So I'll finish up my number 1 band, Cheap Trick. As far as classic rock, classic anything, Cheap Trick are the all-time band for me. I got into them the first album. Started listening to them on the radio. You know, I Want You to Want Me, Dream Police, and just I fell in love with them. They became my first all-time favorite band. My first iron-on T-shirt was a yellow Cheap Trick iron-on T-shirt. My first rock shirt. One of the first albums I ever owned was in color. Saw them live countless times. Again, not back in the day. First time I saw them live was again Great Adventure. Saw some interesting shows at Great Adventure. Went to see them at Great Adventure with a friend, and then saw them multiple times after that. I love all their catalog, even like the mediocre albums. I love their sound. Robin Zander is by far one of the greatest singers of all time. He still sounds amazing. I still see them as often as I can live. For my 50th birthday, my sister got me second row tickets and a VIP package to see him out on Long Island. So I got to meet the band for like 2 seconds, but took a picture with them. I looked like an 8-year-old kid. I got such a huge smile on my face. I was so giddy. It was just the time of my life. So they are the ultimate band. So I got a few honorable mentions as far as American bands we'll get into later, but there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cheap Trick is playing the Dutchess County Fairgrounds this summer.
Yeah,
And
whatever.
it's like you just pay to go to the fair, and then you get to see the show for free. You know,
That's the way it was.
I'll be there.
Yep,
Just to
that's-
jump in there, the Twisted Sister opened for Queensryche and Dio in '83 and Maiden in '84.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I went to see him open up for Dio, but
Yeah.
they canceled at the Pacific Center show that I went to. They canceled, but I had a ticket stub with fucking Twisted Sister and Dio on it. But then I didn't get to see him until the Line 11 show, just like Ed.
Yeah, no. When I saw
They
Maiden,
canceled.
Queensryche opened at Radio City. And I know Twisted Sister did other days, but not here. Cool.
Cool. Thank you very much, Ed.
You're welcome.
Christian,
Hey.
my boy from Connecticut.
So,
What do you got? What's your 5?
my 5, I didn't really, these aren't really any order like favorite to least favorite or any of that.
That's cool.
When we got the assignment, which is just, earlier this afternoon, I'm going through like my iTunes library. I'm like, okay, that's an American band, that's an American band, that's an American band. And I end up with like a list like this long. So when I was, rather than try to figure out who's my favorite, who's my least favorite, and all that, it's like, I picked a couple different criteria. I wanted to pick bands that kind of have like a large body of work, a decent amount of albums. So I didn't pick Carnivore because they only have the 2, but I would say this USA for USA is should be the new national anthem, and I'll probably be blasting that come Friday morning. So yeah, large, a large discography. And then I'm thinking like, when you think 4th of July, you're thinking like, summertime, you're thinking party, and you're thinking, just like American patriotism. So I tried to figure bands that, have like, that party atmosphere type of sound, or bands that have like patriotic songs. I'm like, you know what? It can't just all be about patriotism. There's got to be some anti-establishment type stuff in there too. So it's kind of like,
Sure.
I don't know, throwing those couple things in there, like what bands kind of fall into those different type of categories. So I'm just going to go through. I'm going to start. My list is all alphabetical, so I'm just going to start at the bottom. It's not my least favorite of these, but it's one that Ovi picked already, and that's going to be Megadeth. I mean, so I remember first discovering that. I think the first song I heard, I caught the tail end of the video for Angry Again on MTV. That was on the Last Action Hero soundtrack. So that was like right when that came out. And I was kind of disappointed because at that point I was already like into like listening to Metallica. So, and I knew like, obviously I heard of Megadeth and saw their albums and whatnot in the store. So I was kind of like curious like what they sounded like too. But I was like, oh man, I just missed a video. And then the next one I saw from them was Symphony of Destruction. So that was the first album I got from Megadeth, was Countdown to Extinction. But I think my favorite, and I know that most people are going to say either Peace Cells or Rust in Peace, and those are probably my top 2, but I think Rust in Peace edges it out just a little bit for me. And I think only because there's the one track that I'm not huge on Peace Cells is the Ain't Superstitious song. even though the rest of the album is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's not one track off Rust in Peace where I'm like, I could skip that one. It's like everything just, start to finish. I love, getting into it like 13 years old and hearing Take No Prisoner and Take No Prisoner, take no shit, like
Yeah.
when you're at that age and like hearing a band like swear and stuff, it's like you think it's like the coolest thing in the world. And I guess I still do a little bit, but
That's true.
Cool.
yeah, and actually, like Euthanasia, what the one Obi said is his favorite. I remember buying that CD the day it came out.
Me
I think
too.
it
The
was
Blue Album.
Halloween in 1994.
Yes, it was.
And I
There was
remember
there was a live MTV special
yeah, there
that
was. I think
night.
I taped it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
they
it's
were all
probably
wearing like fucking costumes and shit. And
yeah.
yeah, it
I
was
think
great.
yeah. I'm fairly 99% certain it's on one of the VHS tapes that I have in my closet in a box sitting there, just sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and I kind of picked that because they could, they write songs like, I always said they're kind of, I won't say political, but songs like, Peace Sells But Who's Buying or Holy War's Punishment Due or Hangry, they're just a lot of songs where they're singing about kind of, I don't know, world events or,
Current events.
current events, that sort of
They
thing.
were saying when I saw him live on Saturday, he was talking about like he asked like, "What do you think this song is still relevant today with everything that's going on?" And he started Holy Wars. So yeah, I would
Yeah.
say it's more current than ever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it was 30 years ago or 40 years ago, it's like, it's still, still current. Yeah. So next up on my list, I put Kiss. I know they were mentioned already, but I mean, it's like just one of those bands, if you're having a backyard barbecue and you just want to put on just some good music to drink some beers to, Kiss is they're one of those bands. Um, and so I think the first Kiss is kind of weird because I've always when I first started getting into band and listening to hard rock and metal and stuff, they're one of those bands that was always like there, but I never like took the deep dive into their discography until just a few years ago, to be honest. But I remember a friend of mine, he had the Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, the compilation. And I remember like I taped a couple songs. I remember I Love It Loud was one of the songs that I taped off of that. And then
But
I was if we were gonna be doing the live tonight, I remember me and my friend we rode our bikes to a record store in Wallingford, from where we lived, which is like probably like a 7 or 8 mile like bike ride, and like because we wanted to go like buy vinyl. And I remember he bought Kiss Alive, and I remember just like riding home like carrying like a record like a LP in his bag, like riding our bikes all the way, across 2 different towns. It's like, but so that's kind of where I kind of walked in, but I never went out and like started getting their albums back then. But later on, I think and as much as I like the classic, um, like the 70s Kiss, I think I would actually go with Creatures of the Night as my favorite. Because like I said, I Love It Loud was one of the first songs I kind of knew by them. So I already know that, but then I love the title track. It's just it's so epic. And
Yeah.
just I mean, Paul is just I want to say is, but maybe the past tour they were talking maybe he's doing like some backing tracks or but he was like one of the greatest singers and just
Yeah,
has
that's
such a presence.
serious.
I mean, it's I don't know. So then next up on my list is going to be Blue Oyster Cult.
hmm,
Pretty cool.
Again, they're one of those bands that has like a lot of songs that you can kind of, sitting out on the back patio, enjoying. I always kind of think of them as a summer because there was that movie that came out in the 90s called The Stoned Age. And
Yeah. Good
Great.
movie.
yeah, and I remember like watching that with my friends and we loved and one of the scenes in the movie is like these teenage they're hanging out. It's like during summer vacation, they're driving around in their little whatever what do they call their car? Oh crap, can't remember. Anyway,
boogie.
what's that?
A bill or a boogie, is it probably?
yeah, something like that. They had it was the Blue Torpedo, I think is like was their nickname for their car or whatever. But anyway, they're putting on this 8-track tape and the dude's driving, he puts on like Don't Fear the Reaper, and the like his buddy's like, what the fuck are you putting that on for? It's like they write songs like that to find out who the pussies are or something. And then like so I always and then like there's like another scene where there's he's trying to like get with the girl and like they're listening to I think what song? Burning for You was their other big hit song.
Yeah.
I always kind of
which hadn't even come out at the time.
yeah, which is yeah, because they're never
At the
really
time.
clear what year that movie is supposed to like they say it's the 70s, like 1978, but then you have like a song from like 1981. So when they were picking songs for that, they obviously weren't like researching too hard,
Right.
Nah.
But
Oh, I also heard Blue Oyster Cult for the first time in a movie with Halloween and Don't Fear the Reaper.
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. It was in Halloween too. Yeah.
right.
But yeah, so probably my favorite album from Blue Oyster Cult, I would have to say, is Fire of Unknown Origin. It was actually the first proper record that I picked up from them, and it's still my favorite. When I picked up the album cover, it was just so weird looking, like Fire of Unknown Origin,
For
Yeah.
sure.
Same here.
and I didn't realize I was the one that had Burning for You on it. I just like saw the LP, and I'm like, that's a cool cover. I kind of like
Veterans of
I
the
know a couple
Wars.
songs. But yeah. So next up on my list is a band that's definitely, I guess you could say they're like an anti-establishment type of band. They have a song called Police Story, which is about police messing around with kids and beating up on the kids. And I know Ralph would know this one because he's wearing the shirt. That's Black Flag. Um, Black Flag, it was one of those bands that you first hear about them because you hear like other bands citing them as like an influence or a band that they liked or something, and also in the 90s like Henry Rollins was kind of going mainstream, so it's like, oh, that was Henry Rollins's band before he had the Rollins band and all that. I think the first time I saw any of their songs, it wasn't on, I don't think it was Headbangers Ball, but it might have been either the show that replaced that or 120 minute, one of those like late night MTV shows. And I remember they played the video for TV Party, and I thought the song was like kind of goofy, but it was like kind of catchy at the same time. So, and I remember going through, you go to the CD store and you look at all the different CDs, and I remember like looking at Black Flag. They only had like two Black Flag CDs. They had like the greatest hits, Wasted Again, and then they had Damage, and it was just like the image with Henry like punching his fist into the mirror. And then I looked at that and I'm like, oh, that has that TV Party song. And I'm like, I'm going to pick this up because it looks like a cool cover. And just putting that on for the first time, it's just being used to listening to more like kind of thrash metal and even some traditional, listening to like something like that it's a little bit different, but just like the raw visceral anger of that one is just, I don't know. It's awesome. For many years, that used to be my favorite, Black Flag. But then I think as time has gone on, I like My War better. The song My War was always like my favorite song by them. But over time, I've grown to like that album a little bit more because you still have some of those kind of just really raw, like the title My War, just probably the most raw, aggressive, angry, pissed off song that
It's the most metal. It's the most metal album by them too.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. But then you have like three like really slow plotting songs on the second side, which are still, at least in my opinion, they're just as, I don't know, they're just as raw and angry and visceral as like the really fast stuff like that you would get on Damaged. And Rollins at that time, man, he was just like he was just like a caged animal on like those first couple um Black Flag albums. I mean, he's just you couldn't picture him like doing that today. Like I couldn't.
Mm-mm.
I
No.
saw a video of him singing, I think, Rise Above with like Cyndi Lauper. I don't know
Yeah.
what, and I'm
Yeah,
just
that was a while back.
it was maybe a while ago now, but I'm just like looking at it, I'm
Yeah,
like,
it was years ago. he hasn't sang for any band. I think that was maybe the last time you see a video of him singing with anybody.
Yeah. Do
And
you know
that
what
was like 10 years ago.
I was gonna say maybe it was like 10 years ago. I mean, it wasn't that recent, but more recent than, back in the day. But I was just like, he's just I don't know. I guess it's when you get to a certain level of fame, it's like you can't be like that angry, pissed off kid anymore, I guess. I don't know. But
I saw
so my,
him before I knew who he was. He was playing in the David Lynch movie Lost Highway, and he plays the guard Henry. So it's like he looked like really big and like really like
yeah.
jacked up. And then like when you discover how small he is, it's kind of messes with your mind when you have the first image of him being like a big prison guard.
Yeah.
Well, he
I
was
would
huge. At one point, he was huge when he was like young and so once he
Uh,
got going with the weight, so he was pretty massive for a short like dude. But now he's lost a lot of that muscle weight because he's
yeah.
older now.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of so I read the book Get in the Van. I
Yep,
bought
that's
that.
a great
Actually, I was
book.
sitting on my bookshelf over there. I got it back,
Yeah,
back when I
I
was in
love
high
that
school
book.
and
That
getting into
book's
them. Yeah,
great.
it's yeah, because and then at one point you saw like he started lifting weights after he started like saying them because it's like the shows would get so violent. Like he just wanted to bulk himself up so he could defend himself.
Got the audio book of that
Yeah.
right
Oh,
here.
cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
And
funny
then my
thing about them was that, like me, Tony, and Ed, I bet you we all remember this, is that you get Circus and Hit Parade or in the '80s when you were into this like traditional heavy metal, and SST Records used to put an ad
Hmm.
in like all those
Yep,
magazines back in the day, and
yep,
you'd see an album cover, slip it in, and it's like some fucking nun holding a hairy
yep,
leg, and you'd be like, "What the
yeah,
fuck is this?" Like it was years before I would hear what they actually sounded like, but I would see those
yeah.
fucking ads
Same.
for years.
yeah.
Yep, totally.
And what's funny with them? So I was saying, like whenever I would go to like try to buff like find their CDs or like it was always very sparse. Like it was like the greatest hits, like Dan, those like the only ones I ever saw. So when I actually finally got the first one, I wanted to go back and get all their other CDs. I used to there was I don't know if this website still exists anymore. It was called CDnow.com. It was
Hmm.
around back like in the early, mid
Yeah.
90s.
Uh-huh.
And I remember like they had everything there. And I remember like having my stepdad like order, a lot of those CDs off of like My War and Slip It, all of those other albums off of there. Because they never had them in the stores at all. But um
Nice.
yeah, that leads me to my number one. And I gotta go with Alice Cooper on this one. Um
Oh man, that's
like I know you were mentioning it right before we talked, but like,
no,
you know,
every single band that I have as an honorable mention has been mentioned except for one right now, or maybe two. But these guys hit almost everything. It's
yeah,
awesome.
but Alice, I mean, like, what's there not to say? I mean, you have, I was thinking, yeah, you got songs like Under My Wheels, which is just a good part,
Yep.
summertime, close to fourth, school's out. I mean, it has the
School's
song.
Out, the ultimate summertime song,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It is. And there's no one alive in the last 50 plus years who wasn't singing that song like on their last day of school from the time they were like 10 years old
Yep.
until whenever, until maybe the present day, who knows. Um, but yeah, you just got, I mean, you have songs like Elected, which are, kind of tongue in cheek but patriotic, but then you got a song like Freedom off of Raise Your Fist and Yell, which you just like, full on just like America, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Here we come.
Yeah.
Saved a motherfucking day.
yeah. So the first full length album that I got or that I listened to from Alice is actually strange. It was Muscle of Love because I actually found it in my mom's record collection. And I
Wow.
remember, like, I knew who Alice Cooper, I knew like the popular songs. It was kind of weird because I didn't know any of the songs off that album, but I thought it was all right. I copied it to cassette and, I listened to it for a while. And then I didn't really start digging deep into his discography until, maybe 2000-ish, late 90s, like probably around the time like Brutal Planet came out. Um, but I mean, he's got so many albums, man. Or I mean, if you're including the solo artist and the original Alice Cooper, Yeah, but I think my probably my two favorite are probably either Killers or Billion Dollar Babies, but there's so many other really good ones too. I mean, Welcome to My Nightmare,
Good stuff.
uh, School's Out's a good one. Love It to Death's a good one.
Love it to
I
death.
like the eight
Right.
Razor
Favorite.
Fist, I think is an awesome record. Constrictor ain't bad. I like, I
Yeah.
like some of the songs on there. Some of them are kind of silly, but um
Kip Winger on bass.
that's right, Kip Winger and Kane Roberts. And so when Alice did not the last tour he did, but I think it was 2022, he had Kane Roberts on tour with him.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
right.
And I
Yep.
caught the show in Wallingford, Connecticut, and I was kind of in one of like the far back rows, and I'm thinking like, damn, I could still see fucking Kane Roberts' biceps from all the way up there. The dude's like still ripped, but
Yeah, he
Yeah.
looks like an action figure.
he
I
does.
saw him for the first time on the Muppet Show. He was kind of in a
Yeah.
dungeon or something.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
I don't remember
He was
what song.
actually he was trying to get
Huh?
Miss Piggy to sell, he was trying to get Miss Piggy to sell her soul to the devil. That was the whole
Yeah,
premise of it.
Yeah.
Because they were promoting the Alice Cooper Goes to Hell record.
made quite an impression. I think first album I got was Hey Hey Stupid. I bought it on cassette, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Fun
remember
song.
Yeah,
that.
my first time seeing them was on the Constrictor tour, and I went because Megadeth was on Peace Sells tour, and they were opening. And I knew like the Alice Cooper hits, but I wasn't like a big fan of them. And we took acid, and we got right in the front row when Alice Cooper came on because we knew he had a guillotine and all this shit. And it ended up being like the most fucking amazing show ever. But I just realized now that you guys saying Kip Winger was on the Constrictor album. I knew he was in
Yeah.
Alice Cooper
He
at
was
one
on it.
point, but I didn't realize. So I seen fucking Kip Winger, and I thought
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
one of the greatest
Yeah.
shows ever.
Acid.
Yep.
Oh
Yeah, and
my
he was
God.
actually
I gotta
playing. He
kill
was
myself.
actually playing his bass and still like feeling himself. You know, like
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go kill myself.
But actually, they did a video for that Constrictor tour.
yeah, the Nightmare Returns.
Yeah, I have that one on DVD.
Yeah.
That's a good concert. That's a good
It is totally.
concert video. Yeah. Another one that's really good is one that they did for Brutal Planet. They
Mhm.
did a concert video for that one too, which
It's a good
I like
album.
a lot of. I like a lot of the albums Alice did in the 2000s, like Brutal Planet, Dragon Town, Dirty Diamonds. Like some of those albums are really really
Yeah,
good. A couple of the
Yeah.
good
more,
stuff. Eyes of
couple of the
Alice
more,
Cooper.
yeah, a couple of the more recent ones I haven't been like they're okay, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to like the most recent one or two or three. Like I've listened to them like a couple times, and then I'm kind of like, I'm
Looking
done.
forward to the new one,
Yeah, with the old guy.
That's with
with the
the
original
original
band,
band. Yeah.
Right.
No.
the Alice Cooper group.
Yeah.
Mhm. I
Might
remember
as well
Lost in America.
everyone's still-
Did you guys like Lost in America?
What's
Who?
that?
The album Lost in America from '94.
Oh yeah, that's a
That
good one. Yeah.
good song. It's from the It was the
Last
what was it?
Temptation.
Last
Last
Temptation. Yeah.
Temptation. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good album.
Yeah. Good fucking tune. Good album.
I'm
Absolutely.
looking for a girl with a job and a car and a house with cable. That's
Yep.
the American dream.
Hell yeah. All right, Christian. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We
I
will
just got to jump
circle.
in because I forgot to tell my favorite Danzig album, and I had to take it out because it's Lucifuge. That's inverted cross.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's why I had to have it, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
We just
So
had
if
the
I-
anniversary of that, right, Tony Dio?
Yep. I've got Glenn's autograph my inverted cross.
Nice.
Nice.
This album is so great. I mean, Lucifuge is I mean,
Agreed. Agreed.
Yes.
Fantastic album. So, Tony Dio,
Oh,
what's
kiddo.
your 5 top favorite American bands?
So there's so many. There's just so many. I picked 5 bands that kind of shape the kind of stuff that I'm into, and I'm in the varied stuff that I'm into as far as rock and roll goes. So number 5, I do like a lot of melodic rock stuff. just just kind of laid back crooning, singing, but rocking guitars. So I'm going to go with Journey for number five because I got into Journey when I was in probably like the eighth grade or something, maybe. And this the Escape record was really big, and somebody gave it to me on cassette for a birthday gift, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. I love Stone in Love, and it's a lot of good songs on it. But I I really like I go back to the stuff that came before that when they were a little more hard edge. They had a lot of jazz fusion, a lot of proggy stuff in it. I mean, their first three records that don't have Steve Perry on them are pretty freaking heavy rock records. I mean, it's almost proto metal at times. But my favorite record by Journey over the years has come to be their first album with Steve Perry, which is 1978, the Infinity album. Of course, that's the one with Wheel in the Sky on it. Uh, but I love it, man. Feeling that way. There's a ballad called Winds of March. It's just really got a cool guitar solo in it. I mean, Neil Sean is just amazing on there. And they still had Greg Raleigh in the band, left over from he was their original singer and he was the keyboardist. He sings like dual vocals with Steve during this period. And I just always like this stuff. This is really cool. It's funny though when I had Escape at that time when it was new. By the time Frontiers came out, I had already kind of grown out of Journey. I was all into Judas Priest and stuff like that. So I really kind of got out of Journey, but then I got back into it years later when I was in the CD age. It's like I think it's really when I got into them. I started buying all their back catalog and just really just getting into them. So number four, being from the South, I've always got that Southern rock edge in me. So I got to go with Leonard Skinner. And the earliest stuff I remember hearing from Leonard Skinner, my brother actually had this pronounced Leonard Skinner,
Woo!
and he was always talking about him. And there's some country type songs on this record, like Mississippi Kid, which is basically just Ronnie singing with a mandolin. And but you got Simple Man and things going on. Give me three steps.
Poison
Tuesday's
Whiskey.
gone. Yeah, Poison Whiskey. So yeah, that's my favorite release by him. The first thing I ever really got by him was the Gold and Platinum double album. Oh, I had it
Oh
on
yeah.
cassette. It was the kind of a greatest hits. It was a greatest hits. But yeah, over the years, I mean, I love all the stuff they did, but pronounced Leonard Skinner, really the debut record is my favorite from the band. Um, Number three, I'm gonna go with Metallica because it was pretty much my gateway into more extreme heavy metal, and I think that was the case with a lot of people. Metallica, I got into Metallica and Motorhead about the same time, probably, and Ride the Lightning was the first thing I ever heard by him. That's my original Ride the Lightning record. I remember this guy brought an original copy of Ride the Lightning to school. It was on cassette. It was a Megaforce cassette, and he let me borrow it. And I went home, and I had heard Venom and some stuff like that, but like watching like Radio 1990 and on the USA Network, they would actually show some heavier videos sometimes. And first thing on there is Fight Fire with Fire, and I'm just like, good God, this is fast, you know. And it seems so tame now, but at the time, I mean, just to my
Yeah.
young ears, hearing something like this, I definitely just gravitated wanting to hear more. So that is definitely my favorite album by Metallica is Ride the Lightning. Just yeah, I mean, not a bad track on it, and I revisit this a lot still to this day. So from there, I'm gonna go Van Halen, because Van Halen's kind of what really got me back into hard rock. Because I had kind of ventured off into radio rock and new wave and stuff and all in my like preteen years, and this is the record that did it for me, and it's still my all-time favorite. It's Van Halen 2 that I have on 8-track here because I'm old and I have 8 tracks. And yeah, this I've told the story about when we got into became metalheads. I'd heard Van Halen. I first heard Van Halen. I heard Eruption and the You Really Got Me and Blew Me Away. But there's still a couple years before I got anything by them. And I remember they were playing Dancing in the Street and Pretty Woman on the radio, and I had recorded those. But a dude gave me a copy of we traded. I got a copy of Van Halen 2 on cassette and just fell in love with them. And then I started going back, picking up, the back catalog from there because that would have been like 1982. Diver Down was out. So I think I went out and got Diver Down next and then kind of went back and got the rest. But yeah, man, this one, I mean, my favorite Van Halen song, period, is Light Up the Sky, which is on Van
Yeah.
Halen 2, one of the heaviest tracks. I mean, this was a game changer band for rock and roll and hard rock for sure. Everything that they ushered in they came out of what was 70s hard rock and ushered in what would become like 80s style hard rock with Eddie Van Halen being such an innovative guitar player. Everybody wanted to copy him. So from there, my number one is definitely Kiss because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys today if it wasn't for Kiss because it just ruined my little 7-year-old mind when I got this on 8-track. And Rock and Roll Over is my favorite Kiss record. I think it's the best Kiss record of the 70s. It's heavy, it's all hard rock. It's no like really poppy stuff on it except for Hard Luck Woman, which is still a great ballad. But you don't have anything like Tomorrow and Tonight and stuff like that. They did, and I Was Made for Loving You and stuff. This is just a hard rocking Kiss record. I mean, the first three are pretty heavy too, but this is when they really dialed in the sound. They got such a good guitar tone on this album.
Yeah.
I mean, just Take Me and I Want You, and I mean, Love Them, Leave Them, Making Love. That opening riff, that's like so heavy for like 1976. That opening guitar riff on that one. So yeah, so I got a few honorable mentions too, but that's gonna be my top 5.
Kind of cool they did that album after doing Destroyer, which was kind of like the big Bob Ezrin production. It went
And
backwards.
Destroyer's not one of my favorite Kiss records. I mean, I like it, and I think it's got one of the best album covers ever. It's just iconic. But the record, because the fact that I had a live 2 before I ever got Destroyer, I heard all those songs like God of Thunder and Detroit Rock City and King of the Nighttime, where I heard the live versions, and then when I heard the studio version, they just sounded wimpy sounding,
Yeah. And then he got
me
he
too.
got Beth and
Yeah. Shout it out loud.
What's the other one I'm thinking of?
Oh, Great
Great
Expectations.
Expectations.
God, I hate that song, man.
Yeah.
The
So
demo,
Tony Dio
did not
Tony
what?
Dio did not pick Dio as
Well,
one of
the reason I didn't pick Dio is because
national.
it's a multinational band.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they're based in the
only half.
U.S., but you've got half U.S. players and half European players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that it's like a thing too. Yeah.
hmm
All right. So I guess I'm the last one to go.
You're the last in line.
That's the one.
I'm the last in line. So my number 5 is going to be Black Label Society. This is
Because you
the
met
album I
Zakk
got
Wylde.
into BLS with.
Me too.
This is the first BLS album I ever owned, Stronger Than Death.
Mhm.
That is
I
a good
remember
one.
a buddy of mine telling me that Zakk had this new thing and it's this really fucking cool heavy band and you like Sabbath, so go check it out. And I just literally went to the record store and on his word was like, okay, my buddy knows what I dig. I'm going to go to the record store and went to the Black Label Society section. And this was the only thing that was in the section at that time.
Yep.
So I grabbed it, brought it home, and I fell in love with this. All
Super
three,
tier right there.
What's that?
Super Terrorizer.
Super Terrorizer, great fucking song. Rust is one of my favorites off this. Great ballad. 13 Years of Grief is so fucking heavy. Ain't Life Grand is another one that I love off this. And Stronger Than Death, I'm a big New York Mets fan. So what made me want to listen to this too is Mike Piazza from the New York Mets does backing vocals on that song. So that made me want to fucking grab this. So this was the album that got me into BLS, but my favorite BLS album is 100,000% The Blessed Hell Ride.
Yeah, that's a good album. It's probably my favorite one.
It's really, for me, there's nothing lame on it. There's no tracks I want to skip. And just every second of this rules. My copy is autographed by Zach. I don't know if you guys can see it. Fantastic album. Stillborn is great. You got Ozzy singing with Zach on that one. Stoned and Drunk, Doomsday Jesus. Suffering Overdue is probably my favorite Black Label Society song of all time. It's just so goddamn heavy and slow and grooving and just a fantastic song. And the title track on this, I love. Blessed Hell Ride is very kind of Southern rock, kind of has a little bit of Leonard Skinner vibe to it,
Yeah.
which I fucking love. Final Solution, Destruction Overdrive. There's nothing wrong with this album at all. The production got so much better with this.
A lot better.
And the songwriting, in my opinion, got so much better than this. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. Zach Wilde has said in interviews that if he gets remembered for one album in his career, he wants it to be The Blessed Hell Ride because he feels like his songwriting was at its peak at this point. And I don't disagree with him. I think really this is just a fantastic album from beginning to end. So there we go. There's my number 5.
I'm
we
going to
get
say
to
my favorite album of BLS is 1919 Earth Eternal.
That's a great album too. I like that one as well, but that's another one where I feel like the production's not quite great and the songwriting isn't quite there yet. I feel like with Blessed Hell Ride is where Zach really started to come into his own doing his solo thing there. But that's just my opinion. I have friends that love 1919 Eternal. Like, dude, that album fucking crushes Blessed Hell Ride. Fair enough.
And speaking of Zach, we get to remember Miracle Man because Jimmy Swaggart is dead.
That's right. Finally. So my number 4 is going to be Pantera. The album that got me into them is Vulgar Display of Power.
Oh.
I remember hearing This Love. A buddy of mine used to record WSOU 89.5. Ed probably remembers WSOU 89.5 pirate radio, right? No?
I remember it. I remember it.
So they were a college radio station. I think they're still going.
Oh yeah, they're definitely still going. I'm actually taking out radio spots for my festival, so I'm talking to the girl over there. So yeah, they're definitely still going. They're active.
Oh, fantastic! I'm glad they're still going. A buddy of mine found that station just kind of flipping through the radio channels on FM dial, and he recorded a bunch of tracks one night. And one of them was Biohazard Punishment, and the other was Pantera, This Love. And he played me those songs the next day, and I was like, oh my God, I've never heard anything this heavy before. So we're talking about, what year is this? We're talking about 1992. I was 11 years old, and I had never heard anything so heavy before as the ending to This Love. And it was one of those things that just like kind of blew my mind. It opened a lot of doors and really made me realize, holy shit, metal can get a lot more heavy than Skid Row and Guns N' Roses, you know. So this was the album that I got this album not too long after hearing This Love and loved it every second of it. There's not a bad tune on this one as well. Mouth for War, New Level. I mean, Walk is played out, sure, but fucking Hostile is so awesome.
Okay.
This Love is still great. Um, Regular People Can See. I love Hollow. Hollow is so great, man. What a great ballad with what a just nasty slamming ending to it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fucking fantastic. But my favorite album of all time from Pantera is going to be The Great Southern
Yeah.
Trip.
Good.
I have so many cool memories with this record. This album came out at a really bad time in my life. Um, I was a teenager when this came out and going through a lot of fucking horrible bullshit. And this album was just like really a saving grace for me. Everything on it is just so perfect. Great Southern Trendkill, War Nerve, Drag the Waters. Tens is an underrated ballad. I really love that one. 13 Steps to Nowhere. The drums in that are so disgustingly good. Suicide Note Part 1 and 2. I love the the ballad thing, and then it goes almost into black metal there. So fucking cool. Living Through Me, Floods is probably my favorite Pantera song of all time, just
Yep.
because of Dimebag Darrell's fucking solo in it is just so amazing, just so flawless. Fantastic album for me. Um, I know Ovi can relate. I'm sure Christian can relate because we're all kind of the same age. For me, this was a game changer fucking album. I love Far Beyond Driven. That's a great one. I got that one the day it came out, but then I got this one the day it came out, and there's just so much more to it. There's so much more extremity in it, and just so much more. They expanded on their sound. This is really a fucking fantastic album and really helped me through a lot of really bad fucking times when I was a kid.
The guy that screams in the beginning of the song is Seth from Anal Cunt. I can't
That's
remember.
right. Beth Putnam. That's right.
I don't think I've listened to that one since around the time it came out, to be honest.
Then you
Oh,
got
yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of, I remember getting it like the day it came out, but I think at the, there's just other bands I was just starting to listen to more, and I kind of drifted away from Pantera at that point.
Sure. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
That happens. So I got 5, 4, 3. Let's go for number 3. Number 3 is going to be Kiss for me. The album that got me into Kiss is going to be Revenge. So I was a young man when this came out, and I remember very fondly the music videos for Unholy and what else was it?
I just wanna.
I just wanna, yeah, I love that tune.
Unholy, such a heavy track for Kiss,
It
man.
really is.
I mean, that would have fit perfect on Creatures of the Night.
Definitely. And, uncoincidentally, co-written by Vinnie Vincent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there you go. I love this album so much. Take It Off is such a good song. I love that.
Perfect stripper song.
What's that?
Perfect strip club song.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wasn't Domino a single back then?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't remember Domino being a single. I don't
They
remember
made a
seeing a video for it.
they had a
But
music video for it. Yep.
really?
Okay.
Yep.
Oh
They
shit.
made
Okay.
they made a video for the ballad on there as well, but it didn't get much play.
Every time I look at you,
Yeah.
Predicament, and it's a big one.
Yeah.
I got a predicament, and it's a big one, and it goes like this. Great fucking song, man. I'm gonna have to look up that video for Domino. I didn't know that existed.
Definitely the best Kiss album from the 90s.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed. Although I really love Carnival
Psycho.
Souls.
Which
Who?
one?
Carnival Souls is fucking great.
Carnival of Souls. Okay, yeah.
That's fucking great. That's a dark, heavy album.
Yeah.
But I
That
like
was
this
that
one.
one, you know, it's one of those ones everyone's like, yeah, it's Kiss going grunge and whatnot. And yeah, that's probably true, but you listening to it, I liked it better than I thought I would like it. You know, it's one of
Yeah.
the when people say that, you kind of think like, oh, they're just then you know, take a listen. It's like, yeah, you know, this ain't that bad. You know.
Yeah. I don't even feel like it's them going grunge. I feel like it's them kind of just going Sabbathy. Like it's almost doomy in parts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little bit like what they were doing, like a song like Unholy, but like a little bit
Right.
darker. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the album that got me into them. Oh man, I want to hear that right now. Thou Shalt Not is a great one. Heart of
Yeah.
Chrome. I even really like the goofy God Gave Rock and Roll to You. I think it's just great. It's catchy. It's cool. I love it. So this is the album that got me into Kiss.
Yeah, that's the Eric Carr's last performance was
And then I got to go with Tony Dio. This is the album that I love from Kiss. This is my all-time favorite Kiss record. There's not one dull moment on this. Everything on this record rules. It's live recorded, it's raw. Everything is so great. I really love Baby Driver.
Me too.
I
Why
think
that song wasn't in the movie, I don't know.
I never even saw the flick, but I remember seeing the advertisements for it, and I'm like, I wonder if the Kiss flick, and of course it wasn't.
No, they should have
Why
used
would it be? But goddamn, that's probably my favorite Peter Criss fronted song of all time.
Really?
I really love that too.
I love the way he screams on it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got that like a ballsier Rod Stewart kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely, man.
I think
And
I
of
got
course, who doesn't love Calling Dr. Love? Ladies Room is a great song. I love that tune.
You know, 7-year-old me just couldn't figure out why Gene wanted to go in the ladies' room. It just made no sense to me at the time.
Absolutely. But when I first heard this as a teenager, I knew why 17-year-old me wanted to go into the ladies' room.
Yeah.
Take Me is a great song. Making Love, Hard Luck Woman, Love 'em, Leave 'em. Nothing bad on this at all.
No.
Nothing bad. Fantastic Kiss record. So this is the one that I pick as my favorite Kiss record.
I got Hotter in Hell on a cassette from a gas station, and I couldn't. I was purely the artwork that got it. Got it. So that was the first Kiss I ever heard.
Yeah, man. It's a good one.
It's Dave Mustaine's first Kiss album too, but he stole it. That's the only difference.
That's a fantastic album too. And a lot of people
Yeah.
shit on the production on that, but
I
I
like
actually like the
rock and roll.
production on that album.
I like that
It's
murkiness.
very Black Sabbathy. I really like that fucking album a lot.
Very murky.
Probably my number 2 Kiss after Creatures. I think is Hotter Than Hell, and then probably
Yeah.
the one you rock and roll over. Probably.
Parasite, I mean, Strange Race. I mean, Going Blind, which is kind of a dark topic.
Yeah. Strange Ways is a fantastic fucking song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is going to be the Mighty Metallica. And the album that got me into Metallica is the Black Album. So when I was a kid, You couldn't escape this. 1991. I was 10, going on 11 years old. You couldn't get away from this.
In the middle of the way, and the semi just running through that bed.
Yes, fantastic image from that fucking Enter Sandman video. You couldn't get away from this. It's just so good, so heavy, so cool. I didn't know any of the stuff before. I knew the video for one, but I didn't know And Justice for All because I was 11. So when this came out and all the videos came out for it, it was just mind blowing. This is another one where there's not a fucking bad track on it. I skip over Enter Sandman now because it's played out, but Sad But True is so killer. The Unforgiven rules. Holier Than Thou is fantastic. Such a great kind of fucking more up-tempo thrashy song on this one. Through the Never is another thrashier one on this that I really love a lot. Nothing Else Matters is a fantastic ballad. I love Of Wolf and Man, and I really love The God That Failed. Every time I go back to this, I crank The God That Failed. That's such a goddamn good song. So this is the album that got me into Metallica, but my favorite Metallica album of all time is going to be Master of Puppets, because
I was so sure you were going to put up Reload.
you did. I almost grabbed Saint Anger. Almost.
Well, what about Lulu?
Ooh.
Yeah, that one's I almost grabbed. That's the only Metallica thing I don't own is Lulu. I can't do that one because Lou Reed just sucks. But here's my favorite Metallica album. But you guys all know it. Everybody that's watching knows it. It's a classic. There's not 1 second of this that's bad. It's fucking classic. It's Cliff's swan song. My favorite Metallica song of all time is Orion. And it's because of all the cool shit that Cliff's doing in it. And it's just from beginning to end disgustingly good. The guy who was teaching me how to play music when I was a kid was like, dude, all you know is the Black Album. You have to hear this. And he handed me Master of Puppets on cassette and was like, here, take this and record it. And it was queued up for side 2. So I started side 2. So the first thing I heard was Disposable Heroes. And that's still my favorite thrash song of all time. It's just so disgusting and so tight and so fucking amazing. Fantastic album. We all know how great this is. I don't have to
Favorite those songs
anymore.
Yeah,
Disposable Heroes isn't a song that people talk about a lot when they talk Metallica or that album, but that's just like one of those like just awesome deep tracks. It's just as good as the ones that people, like the title track or,
Absolutely.
Sanitarium or whatever.
The best song on that album, I feel, is Damage Inc.
Yes, Damage Inc. fucking rules too, of course.
And it's just start to finish. It's like it's hard to pick a favorite, really.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with any of the fucking songs on Master of Puppets. So my number 1 is going to be Guns N' Roses. Appetite for Destruction is my favorite album of all time. This is the album that made me want to be a musician. This is the album that really made me fall in love with music. I loved Guns N' Roses and still do. But as a kid, seeing these videos on MTV and hearing this album, for me, there was no band that was cooler. There was no band that looked cooler. There was no band that sounded cooler. This is the band. I got obsessed with these guys. I had to buy every magazine that they were in. I had to constantly watch MTV to see the videos. I had to constantly watch MTV News to hear what they were saying about these guys. This is the album that made me love music and made me want to play music. So this is the album that I love the most from them, and this is the album that got me into them. I was a kid when this came out, and my mother did not want me to have this. So I had to beg my sister to make me a copy of it. And she had to swear me to secrecy. Don't let Ma hear you listening to it because there's lots of motherfuckers and fucks and shit and bitches and all that shit in it. So don't let Ma hear you listening to it. And if she hears you listening to it, I didn't copy it for you. So if you get in trouble, that's on you. This is the album. This is the band. Um, I love Lies as well. I like, going back and listening to Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I do still like those albums a lot, but I don't reach for them as often as I did when I was a kid when they first came out. I still do love the Spaghetti Incident. I think that's a great cover album. I go for that one here and there. And admittedly, I was one of the people that waited and waited and waited and waited longer for Chinese Democracy. And I bought it the day it came out, and I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't think it's worth the fucking wait that it took to come out. But I think there's some really good goddamn songs on it. But that all being said, they never topped this. They never topped Lies. They're never going to. And I've accepted that over the years. This is the one for me. It's the album that got me into them. It's the album I love the most. And it's the album I literally love the most of all time. I've still to this day put this album on and I don't skip anything. I don't go past Welcome to the Jungle. I don't go past Paradise City. I don't go past Sweet Child of Mine. I let this thing play and I love it every time. It brings me back to being a kid. It brings me back to all the memories I've had of like just kind of fucking staring at the ceiling and being like, I just want to run away from home and start a band and get the fuck out of here. So this is my number one, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for
Played
Destruction.
live just 75 minutes from my house tonight. They played in Trondheim, the city. They played.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh wow.
They played November Rain and Coma after each other. That must be a stretch.
Wow. Wow, yeah, they don't do Coma very fucking often. That's awesome.
Yeah, and they played a strange earlier in the set, so it's like they
Oh,
give
shit.
people the worth of their money paying their ticket for. They play
Yeah.
like 30 songs still, so it's.
Wow. They're playing all the epics. That's very cool. Good for
I
them.
think my favorite song on Appetite Destruction is Anything Goes.
Yeah, that's a great tune. That's a
He
great
got
tune. There's no bad songs on that.
from Hollywood Rose. It's like he's from the previous. Wasn't Hollywood Rose what came into Guns N' Roses?
Yes.
Yeah. So he was. I believe Weber. He has credit on Anything Goes. It's kind of
That's
different
right.
from the rest of the album.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I
Good
saw
tune.
them up. I saw them open for Motley Crue, and
Woo.
Nice.
didn't know much about them, but I knew my friend had been talking about them and just watched them annihilate Motley Crue, and
Nice.
went out the next day to the record store and asked the clerk, did they have Appetite for Destruction? He said, you're the second person that's come in wanting that today. And he had to order me the cassette. And about 3 days later, I got it.
Did
But
Nice.
they
the
uncensored
only the
cover?
only time I ever saw Guns N' Roses, and it's the only time I ever need to see Guns N' Roses because they're never going to top that. It's
Yeah.
just one. It was one of those.
Uncensored cover?
We've all seen a band live that just was jaw dropping. You're like, wow, that was one for me. I mean,
I
I seen
one
him
that
once, and it
tops.
was them and Metallica, his other pick. So I seen Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and I was not there for. I got a free ticket the day of the show. I wasn't planning on going, and I guess I forget who opened with Faith No More, but we didn't even go in for him. I can't stand that band, and we seen
92?
Gun. It was Metallica, and then Guns N' Roses headlining. and it was
92.
a giant stadium, fucking 80,000 people, and I had floor seats. I didn't know I was going until like 2 hours before I left for the show.
Wow.
Was that before or after James burned his arms?
It was before.
Okay.
It was before. And it was before the big riot that happened in Canada and everything. It was
Yeah.
it was like all like within 2 weeks of that, you know, it's like all right
Wow.
there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think my favorite Guns N' Roses song of all time is Locomotive. I just the way that Slash gets the guitar to sound like a wolf that's howling in that solo is
Yeah.
it's such a magic. I was like 10 years old when I bought that, or 10 years old when I bought that cassette because of Knocking on Heaven's Door, I think. Back in
Yeah, that's a
elementary.
fucking great song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's a great
Yeah.
song? That last track on Use Your Illusion too.
My
Yeah,
World,
the Charles Manson track.
No, not the
Yeah.
Charles Manson one, the My World
that's a cool one.
rap song that he does.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, fucking My World. Yeah, that was pretty fucking awful.
Yeah, I remember, yeah, when I got that album, I listened to that song, I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, what is he trying to do?
But again, like the intro of the album, though, Civil War, the intro of Civil War is
Yeah,
just
that's a great
the
track.
intro of the Civil War, like Gettysburg, when you hear that, because that intro, and like, yeah, it's got it's the only song that Steven Adler plays drums on too, so it's kind of a special
right.
one.
That's right. Yeah. So let's go with honorable mentions. Count Ralphus. What do you got?
I had come up with a whole bunch of things as we're going along, but I figure now it's been pretty long episode, but the only thing that was not mentioned out of all the, so I got like a page worth of bands that I did in like 10 minutes. I just wrote down all these American bands, but everything got mentioned except for like Jimi Hendrix Experience. But like Tony said with like Dio, that was a multinational band because it was like 2/3 of the band was from England and Jimi Hendrix. But Jimi Hendrix is an American icon, so I just figured I have to mention Jimi Hendrix. And then as like I'm thinking about things that weren't mentioned, ZZ Top, Ted Nugent, Reverend Horton Heat, Hudson Valley Legends, Primeval, Cro-Mags, Typo Negative, Immolation, Negative Approach, Circle Jerks, Ripping Corpse, Fear, Meatmen, Metal Church, Malignancy, Nile, Nuclear Assault, Buzz Elephant, Goat Horde, Demolition Hammer, Howl's Eve, and Whiplash, and that's it. Making it really quick, just zipping right through.
Christian, what do you got for honorable mentions?
Honorable mention. So I'll put Body Count down there for one.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, yeah. Body Count. I have Exodus. I got Guar and the Meatmen. Misfits. And I got Midnight, Pentagram,
Yeah.
Slayer, Testament. And actually the last one here, I know there's a few I probably missed too, probably a lot, but Y&T.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
That was one of mine.
Hey.
That was one of mine. Y&T.
I figured Tony would hit that one.
Yeah.
Ovi, what do you got for honorable mentions?
Well, I was shocked that Tony didn't say CC Top, so I gotta mention CC Top too, because
They're in my
they
honorable mentions as well. Yeah.
they've been with me since I was a kid. I got Dugelo on cassette, and it's like, it's just such a cool band. It's not that they are heavy or anything. It's just CC Top has that kind of a charm, I guess. It's kind of like the first song I ever heard was I Thank You," which is a cover, but still, it's just they made it so cool. I was also kind of interested that Tony did mention Black Oak, Arkansas.
Ah,
Not a big fan. They're okay.
Oh, okay.
Special. I was thinking of band here. Death Angel, I feel needs to be mentioned because Malicious Souls. Who else was I thinking of? I think Nirvana got to mention, ICP, I guess. They've been talking about so many bands now. It's kind of like gotta leave something for else too.
Ed, what do you got for honorable mentions?
All right. I pretty much stuck underground honorable mentions.
Nice.
Cancer, Nasty Savage, Hyrax, Immolation, Revenant, Ripping Corpse, Primeval,
Nice.
Hallows Eve, Repulsion, Macabre,
Mhm.
False Prophet,
Mhm.
and Ministry.
False prophet.
Woo!
I could
Nice.
go on and on, but I was like, that's enough.
Tony
Does have a lot-
Dio.
Oh, some that have not been mentioned, and I think are really cool bands from the U.S. Trouble,
yes.
love Trouble, Sabotage. I love
Mhm.
like everything those guys have done. Um, I don't think anybody mentioned Boston. Um,
Oh,
No,
the Cars, another cool, just
no.
good rock band. Devo, just nothing was like Devo. I mean, they spearheaded a lot of the new wave stuff. And a band that we could probably argue about that I just mentioned a while ago is Motley Crue because man, you can't touch those first two records.
Hell
you
yeah.
really
I mean, they're
can't.
They-
just amazing records, and they're innovative. They're a very innovative band. Everybody copied what Motley Crue's did. All that Sunset Strip stuff. They all copied Motley Crue's look. Whenever Motley Crue would change their look, the bands would change theirs. I mean, when Motley Crue was glam, everybody was glam. When they went denim and leather, everybody went like that. Up until Guns N' Roses came along, and they were the next kind of game changer for that scene. But yeah,
No doubt.
yeah.
Definitely.
Sweet. So my honorable mentions are going to be down.
Mhm.
It was really hard for me to not throw them into the top 5 because
Yep.
god damn, I love those guys so much. Great super group. Probably my favorite super group of all time. You know, guys from Pantera and Crowbar and Corrosion of Conformity and I Hate God, killer band. Not a bad moment to be had on any of their releases. Corrosion of Conformity is another one that I got to throw in there that I felt bad for not having in my top 5. I fucking love
I
that band
should.
so much.
They're friends of mine. I didn't put them in.
Yeah, yeah, I fucking love those dudes so much. Especially the Pepper Keenan fronted version is my favorite version of that band. Typo Negative, we already talked about. That was another hard one to not put in the top 5. I fucking love Typo. Soundgarden is another one that was hard to not put in the top 5. I miss Chris Cornell so much. And that band just meant so much to me as a teenager and still does. And Alice in Chains is another one that I felt bad leaving out from my top 5. I just love all those bands so much.
There's a band from New Jersey you're forgotten.
What's that?
There's a band from New Jersey you're forgotten.
There's a band from New Jersey I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Skid Row?
Springsteen?
Well,
Avi, Bruce Springsteen?
Monster Magnet.
Oh, Monster Magnet. You know, I'm not a huge Monster Magnet fan, man. As much as I'm into Doom and Stoner and stuff, that's not a big band for me. I do appreciate them, but I'm not a big Monster Magnet fan.
Another band I forgot that Ed will probably agree was the Eagles because I know you like the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
a lot.
Absolutely.
Oh,
great US
yeah.
band.
There you,
Yeah.
that's a big one, man. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's a massive band. Shit. Yeah, there you go.
So many, a lot of good stuff that we
What
probably
about
didn't touch on. Yeah.
Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck?
Oh, Prom.
Yeah.
Great band. Great band. How about Sleep? We forgot about Sleep. That's a great one too, man. High on Fire.
Mortician for the brutal stuff. Yeah, High on Fire. That's a great one.
There you go. Mortician. Fuck yeah. Yeah, this was a great episode, guys. This was
Oh,
fucking
yeah,
fun.
man.
We came up with a cool thing on the fucking fly and had a good time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
man.
All you
America.
watching, leave comments in the bottom there. And what's some of your favorite American bands? Could be
Yeah, who did
metal,
we
could be
forget?
hard rock,
Who
could
we
be
forget? There's a lot
whatever
of
you
them. We
fucking
forgot.
Yeah.
Grand Funk
Yeah.
Railroad.
Grand Funk.
I was about to say Grand Funk Railroad. Yeah.
yeah. Who did we forget? Who did we leave out? Leave comments, like and subscribe, please.
Or we'll find you and we will kill you.
We might not kill you, but we'll definitely find you.
Yeah.
Obi
And
will
if we
make you
find
listen.
you,
Obi
I
will
might
make you
have
listen
my
to
way with your
ICP.
mother.
Obi will make you listen to ICP.
Yep.
That's right, the Great Malenko on repeat while I have sex with your mother.
Yep.
Good night,
Yeah,
everybody.
fuck,
Thank you
fuck
to
that,
Count
that St.
Ralphus,
Crossman.
Tony Dio, Ed Farsty, Ovi from Norway, Christian from Connecticut. Have a good night, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Later. Q. Man, that was